Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about something that could change the way you view every relationship in your life, from your closest friendships to your most intimate connections. We're diving deep into the silent red flags in people that most of us ignore until it's too late. These aren't the loud, obvious warning signs. These are subtle psychological behaviors that whisper, not shout, and if you miss them, they can lead to heartbreak, manipulation, and even trauma. Let's get into it. The power of silent red flags. Not every red flag waves itself in your face. Sometimes it barely moves at all. It's quiet, camouflaged, and easy to excuse. Psychologists have found that subtle behaviors are often more dangerous than overt ones because we rationalize them. We dismiss them. We think, maybe it's just me. But here's the truth. Subtle toxicity is still toxicity. Whether it's someone who never truly apologizes, someone who constantly tests your boundaries without realizing, or someone who only shows up when they need something, these actions leave psychological fingerprints on your self-worth. The most dangerous people aren't always the ones who yell. They're often the ones who smile while they damage you. Let's break down the most ignored red flags that could be ruining your peace without you even knowing. Red flag number 1, passive neglect. They don't hurt you, but they don't help you either. One of the most common silent red flags is passive neglect. These are the people who make you feel invisible, but not in a cruel way, in a careless one. They forget to ask how you're doing. They never follow up on the things that matter to you. They expect your presence, but they never truly engage with it. Psychology calls this emotional unavailability, and it's more than just forgetfulness. It's a subconscious message. You are not a priority. The danger? You start lowering your expectations just to keep them in your life. Ask yourself, are you always there for them, but they're rarely there for you? If yes, your loyalty might be getting mistaken for permission. Red flag number 2, delayed disrespect. They don't disrespect you outright, not at first, but slowly, subtly, they begin testing boundaries. A sarcastic jab here, a dismissive comment there. They disguise it as humor or as just being honest. This is called microaggression in social psychology. Small, subtle insults or actions that chip away at your identity. And it's dangerous because it's deniable. If you bring it up, they'll say, "You're being too sensitive," or "I was just joking." Over time, these delayed forms of disrespect create a power imbalance, where you begin to second-guess your feelings. If someone constantly makes you feel confused about whether you've been wronged, that's not a joke. That's manipulation in disguise. Red flag number 3, inconsistent energy. Ever dealt with someone who's hot one day, cold the next? They shower you with attention and then disappear. They're supportive until they're not. They're affectionate until you need them. Psychology refers to this as intermittent reinforcement. It's a powerful behavioral pattern often used, unconsciously or consciously, to create psychological addiction. This inconsistency triggers the brain's reward system. You crave the highs of their good days and ignore the lows just to get back to that warmth. But what you're really stuck in is a cycle of emotional gambling. A healthy person is consistent, not confusing. If someone makes you question where you stand, you're not overthinking. You're picking up on a silent red flag. Red flag number 4, the echo chamber. Every time you speak your truth, you're met with silence or deflection. They never validate your emotions. They rarely listen with real empathy. In fact, it feels like everything you say bounces back with no real connection. This is called being in an emotional echo chamber, where one person's reality dominates the entire space, and yours becomes muted. Often, these people aren't outright abusive. They just lack emotional attunement, the ability to notice, name, and nurture your emotional world. Over time, you stop sharing your feelings, not because you've healed, but because you've given up. That's not peace, that's suppression. Red flag number 5, guilt tipping. You say no, and suddenly you're made to feel selfish. You speak up, and they act like the victim. You set a boundary, and they accuse you of changing. Welcome to guilt tipping, the quiet cousin of guilt tripping. It's subtle, it's manipulative, and it's a common red flag in people who are emotionally dependent or controlling. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions, they twist the situation so you feel responsible for their emotions. And when you try to express how you feel, they make it about them. Psychologically, this creates something called covert control, a dynamic where you feel like you have freedom, but you're constantly adjusting yourself to avoid conflict. If you feel like you're always apologizing, even when you haven't done anything wrong, that's not love. That's manipulation dressed as misunderstanding. Red flag number 6. Too fast, too soon. They say you're the one within a week. They overshare everything on day one. They want all of your time all at once. Sounds romantic, right? But according to psychologists, this might be love bombing, an overwhelming amount of attention or affection used to create dependency. The goal? To win you over quickly, before you notice the cracks. Real emotional connection is like a slow burn. It builds, it deepens, it earns your trust, not demands it. If someone moves at lightning speed emotionally, and then pulls away when you try to slow things down, that's a silent red flag. Because love isn't just about intensity, it's about consistency. Red flag number 7. Selective generosity. They're kind to everyone, except waiters. Or they're supportive in public but cold in private. They give, but only when it benefits them. This is called selective generosity, where kindness is used as a currency, not a character trait. They know how to look good, but their actions aren't driven by empathy. They're driven by image, approval, or guilt. True generosity is consistent and quiet. It doesn't need to be seen. Pay close attention to how people treat those who have nothing to offer them. That's where true character lives. Red flag number 8, energy drain. Every time you talk to them, you leave feeling exhausted. Not because of their problems, but because of how they unload them. They trauma dump. They vent constantly. They rarely ask how you're doing. You become their emotional sponge. Psychologists call this emotional dumping, and it often shows up in relationships where one person is emotionally immature or lacking coping tools. The danger? You start confusing helping them with loving them, but love isn't meant to feel like a job. Support is healthy, emotional dependency is not. If you're always holding space for someone and they never hold space for you, that's not support. That's emotional imbalance. Red flag number 9, the disappearing act. They're there when they need you, but gone when you need them. They ghost, go cold, or emotionally detach every time things get uncomfortable. And when they return, they act like nothing happened. This pattern is part of emotional avoidance, a psychological defense mechanism that avoids accountability and emotional intimacy. The most dangerous part, you start feeling grateful just because they came back. But real connection doesn't disappear when it gets inconvenient. If someone only shows up on their terms, they're not in a relationship, they're using one. Red flag number 10, no growth, just loops. Every disagreement leads to the same outcome. Every apology sounds the same. Every promise is a repeat of the last. You're not healing, you're circling. This is what psychologists refer to as toxic repetition, a cycle of behavior that looks like change on the surface, but never actually evolves. It's exhausting, it's demoralizing, and it convinces you to accept almost better as good enough. Growth isn't about perfect change. It's about real effort. If you feel like you've had the same conversation 100 times with no progress, that's not miscommunication. That's a silent red flag that they're not really trying. Silent red flags aren't about one mistake, one flaw, or one bad day. They're about patterns that cost you your energy, peace, and self-worth over time. You don't need loud pain to walk away. You don't need permission to protect your peace. And you don't owe anyone your loyalty at the cost of your sanity. Psychology teaches us this: what you allow is what will continue. So next time you feel that quiet discomfort, that subtle tension in your gut, pay attention, because sometimes the quietest red flags are the most dangerous ones. And the most powerful thing you can do is stop ignoring them. Thank you for watching. If you found this valuable, consider subscribing, and if there's someone who needs to hear this, send it their way. Take care of your mind, your heart, and your energy. Until next time.